Hey, I actually forgot. I'm putting this in before the episode, so it's going to sound weird. I said it was the Bone Robot Games podcast, but I forgot this is a new segment I'm doing because it's being cross-posted to YouTube where I do this review of video games, and it's called Pixel Autopsy. So, welcome to the first episode of Pixel Autopsy, Axiom Verge 2. Give it a listen. Thank you very much. Hey, welcome to the Bone Robot Games podcast. I'm Alex Treebone. I'm going solo because I just want to talk about Axiom Verge a little bit. As everyone knows, I'm a huge, gigantic, massive Metroidvania fan. Mostly just the Metroid games. But Axiom Verge 1 is potentially my favorite Metroidvania. It's one of the few search action games I've found that has long-range guns and gun-centric fighting. So many games, perhaps influenced by Hollow Knight, are going the melee route now. It's not inherently bad, but I find shooters so much more fun, so much more compelling. It's interesting to balance the fighting around shooting instead of melee. I mean, you have to make it harder. Melee, you could accidentally walk into them all the time. If you're accidentally walking into something when you have a gun, it's easier. And when Axiom Verge 2 came out, I was really excited because I liked Axiom Verge 1. And I played it for 90 minutes, and I honestly couldn't stand it. And I recently went back to play it again because I'm going through some of my Steam backlog games, and honestly, I should not have. It was such a stark departure from the first game that it baffles me that it was made by the same person. The first game has over 20 guns you can collect, many of them being optional just for fun. They're really neat and interesting to use. There's super sci-fi based, bunch of weird, it's not just a regular gun and then a shotgun. It's one that shoots lasers that a ball shoots out, and then when you press the shoot button again, the ball shoots in 6 different directions from the exploding point. Stuff like that. There's one that's just a close range electricity gun. It's a bunch of really interesting things. And super fun to have a large arsenal of weapons to choose from. You can pick the one you like the most. You can pick the one that does the most damage. You can do whatever you want. Or you can use the regular gun because it's still pretty good. In the sequel, Axiom Verge 2, you get one melee weapon and a stupid boomerang for long range. The combat is almost entirely removed from the game. You get a hack tool very early on that is a circle expands around your body, and if you touch enemies, you can hack them. And most of it is you can make them... It's weird because it gives you 3 options, and it's usually make them slow or make them friendly entirely and they won't attack you. And it's why would I ever choose that? And to make them slow when I could just have them not be an enemy anymore. And so in the very beginning of the game, not even to mention that the hack tool like this just feels like the glitch gun from the first game, but worse. But the hack tool, so you use it in the beginning and you're just hacking enemies. But the crazy thing about this is a bunch of the enemies, even from the very beginning of Axiom Verge 2, have guns. And so you're fighting these creatures that run away from you and then shoot, and all you have is a melee weapon. And on top of that, it's really rocky and it's not a bunch of flat land. So there's a lot of times when they get into a little crevice and you're just swinging an axe by your feet and you're still missing them. I'm this is the worst of both worlds. It feels like dog shit. It's not powerful. You have a small range of motion to hit them from. And then also, if you can hack them, it's just better than fighting. You can very quickly and easily upgrade your hack tool to have more range, to have more power, to have more uses, which none of that even really matters because all the save points are so close that you constantly have full health and full hack powers or whatever it is. So it melee sucks in the first place. You can't hit them, they shoot you back. You mostly just run past them, because there's no real benefit to fighting them. It's not enjoyable. Meanwhile, again, I've played Axiom Verge 1 several times. I beat it on regular several times. I beat it on hard just for fun. I've gotten 100% completion of the game. It makes no sense. He removed the combat element entirely. Axiom Verge 2 feels like Tom Happ, who's the solo creator of both of them, by the way, wanted to explore more of this story that he created, which is very interesting. Like I said, in the first one, there's this crazy sci-fi element to it that's just so amazing. A guy goes into a separate world, a separate dimension in the first one, and it's again, super sci-fi, weird technical stuff and weird enemies, and it's glitched, and you go through walls and all this goofy shit. And then the second one, like I said, it's he wanted to explore more of this story. It's very lore and story based, except then he doesn't even really do that at all. all the connections to the first game are circumstantial or unverifiable, where you'll find one lore page where they say, like, they drop a name of a person who also was name dropped in a lore page in the first game. And it's like, are they even connected? Like, you don't really know. It ends up raising more questions than it answers with all, like, the weird route it takes during the game, and it ends very abruptly. I'm going to ruin it for you now, so if you want to play it, which I recommend you don't, it sucks, but if you're a fan of Axiom Verge 1, just listen to this because you'll get the most out of it anyway. The end sequence of this game is so bizarre. You are suddenly in a boss fight. You walk into a room to blow up a bomb, and the boss teleports into the room. Like, they were not in there before. They just are suddenly in the room with you. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really interesting and stupid. So, and then you're in the final boss fight of the game. You cannot lose this fight. There is a save point in the middle of the room that you never get to use. If you die, you just respawn at the save point in the middle of the fight. Like, the boss's health hasn't gone down and your health hasn't gone down. By the way, the enemy boss does not have health. You can shoot them a million times. They just get stunned slowly because all they do are they're trying to stop you from blowing up this bomb, which is just 4 switches in the corners of the room. So you hit 2 switches, they put a barrier over the last 2, you shoot the boss 10 times until, or you don't shoot them, you hit them with your fucking melee weapon while they're shooting you. You hit them with your axe 10 times, they get stunned for a second, you hit the button, rinse and repeat. And then, I'm not even joking, the fight ends, the bomb starts to go off, the guy gets, the main boss gets held in this chamber. You have a 1 minute long escape sequence that sucks. You know, like, they try and copy the Metroid escape sequence. You, like, go left, you go up, you go right. You go, like, there's no roadblocks. It's not interesting. It's literally just the path you came back in a second ago. You get back to the top, a bomb goes off. It kills the big bad that was here. And I'm not even joking. The main character just walks off screen and it rolls credits. They legit say something that's like, it's almost like a to be continued, but then they go, I have an idea for what I'm going to do now. And they just, like, walk off screen and that's it. It honestly feels like a prequel to the first game. Not in, like, the story, I guess, because he sort of went through more story, but in all technical aspects. Has worse map design, less interesting stylistic choices, worse combat, worse bosses. I would even say there's no bosses in Axiom Verge 2. There's a couple rooms you go to that some are, like, entirely optional. You walk into a room, and there's, like, a big bad boss character there, which are, first of all, insanely easy to fight, even if you are using your axe. If you use your hack tool, there's, like, a button that's, like, overheat, and it just, like, the boss, like, blew up. And these bosses, I'm pretty sure, are all optional. A couple of them I walked past the room because I was like, there's no point to fight this, and then I just came back later and killed them because I was overpowered. The story is worse. There's a ton of loose ends. Like I said, he just makes all these more questions, and it's generally unsatisfactory. Like, the entire thing was so strange. The interesting thing about it is he does a really interesting job in the middle where I sort of like the idea of venturing out of the genre where he's trying something unique, he's trying something different. He doesn't want to be just a Metroidvania where they go, oh, here's the staple elements of the genre. It's side-scrolling, and then you get this upgrade, and then you get this gun, and then you get this upgrade, and you get this gun, and it allows you to travel back to this area you saw before. You know, you get instead of a morph ball, you get a drone, you know, and then you get upgrades, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I honestly don't mind that Axiom Verge 1 does different takes on the regular Metroidvania aspects. Like I said, in Metroid, in a lot of Metroidvania games, you'll see, like, a hole in the wall that's too small for your character to get through. And this was no exception. And in the first game, you get a little drone that you can drive through. And then normally, though, you have to just kill the drone and then you come back to your human person. It's just, like, to do separate things. And then later on, you get an ability to teleport to the drone's location, which is, like, an interesting take on it. Sure, it's basically the same thing, right? It's cooler to just have the drone, actually, because you can't access these areas and you have to do them with, like, you have to fight regular enemies with, like, this tiny little guy who sucks, and it's, like, interesting to overcome them, or it's, like, not stealth exactly, but it's interesting, right? It's fun. There's, like, something there to it. And then the second one, they start to do stuff like that, where you get the drone again, and they sort of give you, like, he has so many, like, bits of, like, oh, wow, he is ambitious still, and this could have been really interesting. You get the drone again, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get the ability to teleport to it. He's just going to keep that same thing in. And what they actually do in this is there's a narrative element where you go, one of the creatures that you, like, get in this game, there's, like, basically human spirits were put into weapons, and they're called arms. And then like when you find them in this game, there's like the human spirit is like floating around talking to you. And one of them is like, oh, here's where you can teleport to the drone. You have to put your body on this pedestal, turn into the drone, and activate this switch. And then when you do it, and your body is loose there, like vulnerable, and you activate the switch, that weapon takes your human body instead, and you're actually stuck in the drone for like a good little bit of the game. And then when you get a body again, it's like a robot version of yourself, and then you can teleport into the drone like the first game. But a reason why it's interesting is narratively, they give you the bait and switch, where if you've played the first game, you go, oh, here it comes, and then you actually get your body stolen, you have to stay as a drone for a long time, which is super interesting, and it was actually like really fun. The drone section was really interesting, and they did some neat things again with that. And then when you get your body back, it's cool because you can turn into the drone or the human body, like, or the robot body whenever you want. And the thing about that was interesting is there also is a section of the game that's in another dimension called the Breach, and you go into it a couple times. And the way that the drone worked in the first game was you would just like throw it, you would walk through a hole in the wall, and you would access like a button that opened something where the human was, and then you would go back. And in this one, it's the drone, it's sort of the same thing, but the drone can go into an alternate dimension that the human can't go in. And the neat thing about that was when you go into the alternate dimension, you access it via a portal, but when you the ultimate dimension mirrors this dimension as far as like the map layout in the game, but you can't immediately come back out. When you go in, the portal is not there, so you have to go through and find a portal. And it's actually interesting because you can't I know I said interesting 30,000 times, but it really is. You can't leave until you find another portal, so you can potentially get stuck in these worlds until you find a way out in this alternate world, and then you come out with a drone, and then you press a button and let your character move again. And the interesting thing about that is that later on, another upgrade you get is when you're in the Breach world with just the drone, the human can't go in, you get an ability that lets you come out of that world whenever you want. And then you get an ability as a human that allows you to pull portals in one room to a different location. So you'll like, you're on the right side of the room, and then you go to the left side of the room, you pull the portal to you, you turn into a drone, you enter it, you're in a new part of the Breach that you've never been in before, you go a couple rooms to the left, you exit, you're a new part of the world you've never been in before. Add into this that it gives you the ability to fast travel. Like a lot of fast travel locations is like, oh, all the save points are fast travels, but you have to go to one to fast travel to another. This game lets you fast travel to a save point from anywhere on the map instantly. So this was the cool, ambitious thing that I was talking about, where he sets up this travel system where a lot of times travel becomes tedious in games, but this is simultaneously restrictive in the way that the drone is the only person that can move inside the Breach, and the human robot character is the only thing that can move. Well, both of them can move outside of it, but the human one is the only one that can move portals to where they want on the outside. And so you have this like, oh, you can basically move anywhere on the map instantly because you can teleport to another save point at any point as a human or a drone. And when you're in the Breach, you can teleport to those save points as the drone. But it's like really interesting to move around the map where you have your map of grids, you know, and like you'll notice there's a spot typically that you just can't go in. But since this is dealing with alternate dimensions, like, you know, maybe you go from a long tunnel from left to right. At the end of the tunnel, you go up. And normally you just can't go right in a video game. There's nothing there. Well, in this one, you enter the Breach, you go into where that empty spot is, and you come out of it, and you're like, oh shit, there's stuff here. And this is the only way to access it. And it's inventive and it's interesting. There's a long segment of the game from when you first get turned into the drone to when you get your body back and you unlock these abilities, when you're just like teleporting around, going, like finding out all these secret areas. And that was a blast. The problem was you don't have to do anything in the meantime. Like the fighting sucks in the middle of all that. So you're just running past all the enemies. They're not really strong enough to kill you, even if like it mattered. They're not like interesting in any real way. And again, this is just all such a major step down from the first one where it was super cool. So there are tidbits there, but the problem is just that's it. That's all there are. You get drip fed these spoonfuls of cool ideas that just never go anywhere. And the first one was, I would say, far more basic of a game, where he ventures into new territory and tries these different things from time to time, but it's mainly just a Metroidvania in his world, in his style, with his video game, or with his characters and his guns and everything. And the second one, honestly, just sucks. You can never play it and not miss a single thing about Axiom Verge. I honestly think this is the problem. It's the same thing with remakes and sequels and all that. It detracts from the overall Axiom Verge name, because if I were to talk to someone and they said, yeah, 2 is pretty good, I'd be like, no, you like 2 because your love of 1 makes you like it. But it's so far removed from the first game, right? Why go from 20 plus guns to 1 melee weapon and 1 boomerang? And they can get upgraded, but who really cares? There's also like a lot of weapons and things that like have absolutely no use. It felt like an early access game. I got like the final boomerang upgrade at one point in Axiom Verge 2, and it's just a drivable, it's like a RC car. You could just drive the boomerang whatever you want. And when you get that one, the only way out of the room you're in is to drive it up to a button. You press it and you unlock the door, and you never ever have to use that again. So for an optional thing in the game, it's weird that the only time to use it is to come out of the room you're in. You don't have to use it for any bosses or any fights, because again, it would take a year to stand across the room and hit it once with this boomerang over and over and over again to kill a boss, because they have like higher HP and you have so much HP, and the best thing to do is get right under the boss, hack it, and then just beat the piss out of it with your axe, because it's the strongest thing you have, and you have to get close range for melee anyway. So none of that feeds into each other, right? There's a million things in the game that he adds in, like all these boomerang upgrades and stuff. It's like, I never even used it. There's no point. You don't have to. You either run past the enemies or you hack them, or a combination of both, or it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's very strange. There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of stakes. Again, the final boss is dropped on you instantly, and it just like happens. And he also tried to capture, I think, the esoteric style of the first, where you don't know what's going on, and it's ambiguous and it's convoluted, where you see something that I really like about the first one is when you find like I can't remember what they're called. It's like a big robot lady, and she's just like a giant robot head attached to like a bunch of wires and they start talking to you, and they tell you, oh, you have to go do this and this and this, but you're in another world and you like don't know if you can trust them, but you don't really have an option, so you have to follow through what they tell you. And the interesting thing about that is like, oh yeah, this is cool, because this is like, I don't have a choice as a player, and you also don't have a choice as the character in the game. They're like, go here and access this, it'll help us defeat this thing. And you go, am I defeating the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? I don't know. I have no idea what any of these people are, who their motivations are, what this is. And it's also so foreign to you, right? It's a giant computer, sophisticated android in another world hooked up to a cybernetic system, and you're like, this is so foreign to me and strange and weird. I'm just sort of like trying to live. And that idea in this world is, oh, I've been transported into another world where I'm completely outclassed and outnumbered, and I don't know who I can trust, but I have to trust this person because it seems okay. And then it unravels a little more and this stuff happens. And the second one was just like, it tried to tap into that, and some of the stuff was like almost directly copied from the first, where like that sort of happens, where you get up on a pedestal and you meet like a giant creature and you're like, oh. And then like a bunch of other stuff is just like there are like some callbacks to the first game, where you get teleported to an area in the breach that like looks exactly like the first game, and there's like a room that looks just like it, and there's a boss in there that like I actually never defeated, which I thought was very funny. There's a boss in this room, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to fight this, and I just ran past it. And you can, the doors are open on every side, but there's like 3 doors behind it. You can open all of them. They're not gated in any way. I never defeated this boss. I just ran past it every time. Why is it in the game? There's this idea that normally in the first game, in that exact same room, it's the same structure. I haven't played Axiom Verge 1 in 3 years, and I remember, oh, this is this room with this boss. It was a fun boss to fight. And in the second game, it's like, oh, it's the same room, different boss. It's completely optional, and it makes no sense. And that's sort of the entire vibe of the second game. So I hate to say it, but Axiom Verge 2 sucks balls. Axiom Verge 1, and here's the craziest thing on top of that. I said before, Axiom Verge 1 is possibly my favorite non-Metroid search action game, and Axiom Verge 1 isn't even that good. I've played it several times because there are no like shooter Metroidvanias that are any good at all. And Axiom Verge 1 fills that gap by being the only one out there. And recently I played the Mobius Machine, which outclasses it by 10 miles. Play that one if you want. But unfortunately, played Axiom Verge 2 lately. It kind of sucks. It's not worth it. And yeah, it's, he stood on the shoulders of giants and they just took a friggin' suicide dive. So that's that on that. Thanks for listening. If you're gonna check out Axiom Verge 2, just don't. It's not worth it. All right, we're on the hunt for more Metroidvania games, and we've been doing more short form reviews like this, quick little 20-minute bash up. And thank you for being here. That was Treebone versus the Bone Robot Games podcast, Axiom Verge 2 mini log. Bye bye.